Alright, so there's a ton of stuff going on in the PlayStation world right now, so instead of doing a bunch of different videos on a bunch of different topics, I picked out the 3 most important ones you need to know about for one big video. First up, let's talk about the new PS Plus games for June 2021, because some of them are actually pretty good. First game you're getting if you're subscribed to PS Plus is called Operation Tango, and I'm gonna be honest, I had never heard of it before I saw it for this video, but when it came out on PS4, it actually got some pretty good reviews, and it's a co-op spy game, so if you have a friend you like playing co-op games with, this one seems like a good one to download. Now the annoying thing is that this is a native PS5 version, so if all you have is a PS4, you're not going to be able to grab this one, even though there is a PS5 version. But either way, if you plan on getting a PS5 down the road and don't have one yet, you should still add it to your account, so when you do get one, you have a nice fun co-op game to play with your buddy. But if all you have is a PS4, you're still in luck, because Virtua Fighter 5's remaster, which is a PS4 remaster of a PS3 game, is also available. And the weird thing is, this is actually available for 2 full months, so starting June 1st, you can add it to your account, but then it goes all the way until August 2nd. I figured that was worth pointing out because I've never seen Sony do that with PS Plus, and I'm not sure if that means in July you won't get a PS4 game, you'll just have to stick with Virtua Fighter 5. That's definitely something to pay attention to, but from what I can tell, this has pretty decent reviews, so if you're looking for a new fighting game, I don't think you can go wrong with this one. And that brings us to the third game, which is by far the best one on the entire list, and that one is Star Wars Squadron. So this is a first-person ship combat game in the Star Wars universe, and I know on the surface it might look like they just stripped out the Starfighter Assault mode from Battlefront 2 and called it a day, but this is 100% built from the ground up its own game. Like, you can't even play it in third-person mode. You get to fly X-Wings, TIE Fighters, TIE Interceptors, U-Wings, Y-Wings, pretty much any ship you'd want to fly other than the Millennium Falcon or Slave 1 is there in this game, and it is a ton of fun. It also has a 7 to 8 hour campaign that's set between episodes 6 and 7, and it has a really cool art style, and it's a ton of fun to play. I really dug into this game when it came out last year, and the multiplayer PvP mode is surprisingly awesome. It's this weird capital assault type mode where each side has either a Star Destroyer or the Republic equivalent, I can't remember what it's called right now, and then each side is trying to destroy that other side's ship. But there's a lot more to it. It's kind of complicated, but once you learn it, it's a ton of fun. They also have a bots mode built in, so you can learn without getting completely destroyed by people who have been playing it for months. This is a full featured game from EA with no microtransactions and a full single player campaign, which I know is like absolutely crazy, but that's what it is. So if you've never played Star Wars Squadrons or haven't bought it yet, I highly recommend checking it out. It also got a PS5 update that helps it run and look a lot better, and if you have a PSVR headset, you can play this entire game, the story mode, the multiplayer, all of it in VR, and wow, it totally changes the experience. I played it on PC with my Oculus Quest, and it looks incredible. So when this becomes available on June 1st, definitely add it to your account, and if you haven't gotten the May games yet, they are available until May 31st, so if you have the PS app on your phone, it's super easy to just open it up, go to the store, and add the current games to your account. Right now, I think they're Battlefield 5 and Wreckfest, which are both pretty good games. Okay, the next news story we have to talk about on the surface doesn't really apply to PlayStation, but it got me thinking about the future and what Sony should be doing and how they're leaving money on the table. So last year, Microsoft released a folding phone called the Surface Duo, and it's actually a high quality, like well-built phone. There's a lot of glass, a lot of metal on it. It's pretty cool, but the difference between it and something like the Galaxy Z Fold is that instead of being one screen that folds on top of itself, it's really like 2 phones that they smash together, and then there's a line down the middle. So when you open it up, you can use it in like a 2-screen mode, or you can use it as a tablet. You'll just have the line from the crease of it folding down the middle. It doesn't matter. It didn't sell very well, but they just updated it so that if you have Game Pass, you can go on the phone, you can go on the cloud service, and you can stream games to the top screen, and then they have a virtual Xbox One or Series X controller on the bottom screen, and it makes it look like kind of like a Nintendo DS, but more futuristic. And of course, it has touch controls instead of physical ones, but having a full connected Xbox Series X on your phone just sounded really cool, and that got me thinking about how Sony has this remote play feature. So this one's a little bit different, right? You download the app on your PC or your phone, and you can connect your DualSense to either device, and you can play games that are on your PS5. There's no server like there is with Microsoft with the games on it that you're streaming from. You're streaming directly from your PS5. And now if you're on your home network, it really does work a whole lot better than what you'd get on the Xbox, because it's streaming directly from your PS5 to your router to your phone, and you're on the same network. But it's not really what I want from either device, honestly. This streaming streaming stuff is cool, but like I don't want to attach my phone to a controller and play over the internet. There's latency, there's weird blockiness with the streaming. It just doesn't look all that good. We know Nintendo is making the Switch Pro. We know that Steam is making the Steam Pal, which is basically a Switch Lite that connects to your Steam library, which sounds amazing. Why is Sony leaving money on the table and not clapping back with a PS Vita 2? That console is still usable and better than a lot of its competition today. It had awesome games like Uncharted Golden Abyss, Call of Duty Black Ops Declassified, which I mentioned pretty much every video. Wasn't a great game, but it really was like having Call of Duty on the go, and it just felt like having a PlayStation in your pocket. And I don't know why Sony is so against doing that again, because I think if they did it now, people would actually want to buy it. They had a marketing problem with the Vita. They had a weird memory issue where you could only use their proprietary expensive memory cards. That was stupid. If they just put out a device that didn't have those problems, I think people would definitely buy it. But yeah, we have to consider the fact that Sony has to be working on something other than Remote Play or PS Now, because PS Now is positioned as like the competitor to Game Pass and sort of pseudo streaming. They spent a lot of money on Gaikai, which runs the technology that PS Now uses, but still, it's not the same as playing games on a native device. And Sony is the company that's providing the most hardcore gaming experience on the console side right now. So I'd really like to see them just wake up one day and say, yeah, we're gonna make a new portable. It's time. For the final news story today, I wanted to let you guys know that there's a Days of Play sale going on over at the PlayStation Store, and there is some pretty awesome stuff that's pretty cheap right now. The first game I want to highlight is Destiny 2's Legendary Collection for $47.99, and I know you're probably sitting there like, why is Destiny 2 still 50 bucks? But it's because you get literally everything you need to play competitively in Destiny 2 right now. You get Forsaken, I think you get Shadowkeep, you get Beyond Light in the current season that's running right now. And that season is called Season of the Splicer. It added in a stasis sidearm that I've been using a lot and really enjoying. It also has a new Tron inspired mode called Overload, and that is also really fun. Destiny 2 also got a PS5 patch last year that lets it run at 4K 60 frames per second, which basically means it looks incredible. You can also play Crucible at 120 frames per second. I'm pretty sure that resolution probably drops to somewhere around 1440p or 1080p, but you can play the multiplayer at 120 FPS, so how can you complain about that? Destiny 2 is also a game with cross saves, so if you've already picked this game up on the PC or the Xbox Series X and you want to play with your friends on PlayStation, you can grab it on the PS5 sale right now and then just log into your Bungie account and you're good to go. All of your stuff will be right there. They do have cross play in beta right now. The second game I'm going to highlight is Remnant from the Ashes, which is on sale for $20, and if you want the 2 DLC packs, they're on sale for $5 each, and I recommend all of it. On the surface, Remnant might look a lot like Outriders, but Outriders is definitely more like the Division 2 or Gears of War, whereas Remnant is more like Dark Souls. You have a stamina bar, enemies and bosses can take you out almost instantly, and it's a pretty brutal game. It also has some pretty good co-op, so if you've got 2 buddies you want to play with, I cannot recommend this game enough. The coolest thing about Remnant, besides the fact that the shooting feels pretty good and it feels like Dark Souls as a third-person shooter, is the fact that the campaign is pretty randomized, which sounds like a feature that wouldn't actually work, but it does work pretty well. So it's not like you're playing the levels in a different order, you're playing them in the same order every time, but the actual paths you take are randomized, so you can get different key items or weapons depending on which seed it gives you in the game. So you can play the game over and over again, keep all of your experience and all of your weapons, and fill out your roster of stuff, and it's a lot of fun. It doesn't feel like you're losing every time. So you can play the game over and over again and keep all of your stuff, and it gets easier each time, which I think is really cool. I already mentioned that the co-op is a ton of fun, and this game is pretty brutal, and it'll take you around 40 hours to complete. So for 20 bucks, I don't feel like you can go wrong with Remnant from the Ashes. And for the third game, if you just finished Resident Evil Village and you're on a Resident Evil kick, pretty much every Resident Evil game is on sale in the PlayStation Store right now. So first up, you can get the remake of Resident Evil 2, which is one of my favorite games ever, for just $16, and that game is so much fun to run through over and over again and unlock other weapons. It also had DLC that's all pretty good, and it was all free, so that's awesome. It's just one of the best remakes ever of one of the best games ever, so if you're in for survival horror, I can't recommend Resident Evil 2 Remake enough. And on top of that, Resident Evil 3 Remake is on sale for $20, which is more than fair. I know it kind of feels like an expansion to Resident Evil 2 because it takes place in Raccoon City and it has largely the same kind of locations that you visit in Resident Evil 2, but it's a ton of fun. It has a more action-focused gameplay and the zombies are a lot more fun to kill in that game. Nemesis chases you through some of the levels and he is actually terrifying. So if you haven't played Resident Evil 3's remake yet, 20 bucks is definitely worth it. And finally, Resident Evil 7 is on sale for just $10 right now, and if you just played Resident Evil 8 and you never played 7 before, you've got to pick this up because I think it's honestly a little bit better. It's probably my second favorite Resident Evil game. You also play as Ethan in 7. It's kind of like his introduction into the world, and this game is so legitimately terrifying. The Bakers are all scary in their own way. It has a cool sequence where you play through a bunch of saw traps, which I liked a lot. The combat is a little bit slower than it is in Village, but it feels weightier and it's scarier. So in my opinion, if you're a horror fan like me, you should definitely pick up Resident Evil 7. Also, if you got 50 bucks burning a hole in your pocket right now, just pick them all up because every one of these games is great in their own right. So those are just a few games I'm highlighting from the sale, but if you haven't looked at it yet, just open up the PS app on your phone because all of the games are available right there, and then you can just tell your PS5 to download them if you pick them up. Let me know what you thought of all these different news stories down in the comments below, and if you picked up any of the games I recommended. Remember, if you want to stay PS ready, subscribe and set your notifications to all. As always, guys, my name is Jimmy Champagne, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.